Hello. Okay, today we are going to continue on our unit on the executive branch, Unit I, and we are going to specifically take a look at Chapter 14, the Presidency in Action. Now, here to assist you is your textbook, and I urge you to make sure that you read or have read Chapter 14 in your textbook. Let's continue then and look at some issues on why presidential power has grown. Originally, the founders of our Constitution envisioned the legislative branch as by far the more powerful and more focus of attention. However, today, the president and the executive branch has moved to the top. And over the course of history, of course, the champions of a stronger president have almost always prevailed, due in fact to the increasingly complex social and economic life of America and the exponential increase in population as well as technology has assured the president a higher and higher position. Through law passing and also through practice and the use of the mass media, the president has gathered more and more power unto himself, starting with the use of radio, television, and now social media, and so on. The president's job is to, and takes an oath of office. During that oath, he promises to execute faithfully the laws of the land. However, this is not always the case. Sometimes the president doesn't like the laws that Congress passes and therefore does not so faithfully execute those laws. The president also has what's called ordinance power, which is an unusually strong power where the president, with bypassing the legislative branch, can make his own executive orders, a directive or a rule that regulates and effectively is a law. For example, President George W. Bush, upon becoming president in 2000, issued several ordinances which limited abortion and made it very difficult. However, other successive president, Obama, has then issued other ordinances having to do with immigration, abortion, and other hot-button issues that he couldn't get through Congress. He was able to pass ordinances or directives. Another incredible power that the president has in action is the appointment power. All Supreme Court justices, for example, are appointed by the president. The Supreme Court, one of the three branches of government that checks and balances, are actually put there by the president. President Obama has had the privilege of appointing two already in his presidency. So therefore, much power in appointment of ambassadors, cabinet members, judges, attorneys, and so on, including, as I mentioned, most importantly, Supreme Court justices. They also can make treaties, as you're well aware, but if it's a major treaty, it does need to be approved by the Senate, which is, again, a check and balance. Many treaties, so-called treaties, are listed as executive agreements, just between the leaders, and then are binding. Another interesting power the president does have is that of recognition. If you do something to damage America or to disavow America, you can become a non-person, a persona non grata. The president can remove you from the rolls of American citizenry. Your pictures are deleted, your passport is shredded, and you are no longer recognized. Now, this doesn't happen very often, but the president does have the power to do that. As commander-in-chief, the president can make undeclared war. As a matter of fact, the last time we declared war, which is the power only Congress has, was World War II. And as you know, we've been in many, many wars and conflicts since then, too numerous to list here, and all by the dynamic action of the president himself. The president also has broad-ranging legislative and judicial powers. Veto power, recommendation we already covered as chief legislator in last lecture. Judicial powers, he can grant, as most powerful, a pardon, a straight pardon. This happens usually at the end of their presidency. They pardon different criminals and friends and so forth. They also could grant a lesser reprieve or clemency, leniency in certain federal cases. Amnesty can be given if they are given pardon to a large group of people. He grants amnesty to the whole group. For example, the draft dodgers who fled to Canada in Vietnam War era were granted amnesty by Jimmy Carter. Also, the president has the power to commute your sentence.